Hi everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell and we're bored of it, and welcome to our review of Forest Shuffle, a spicy, new-ish card game for 2 to 5 players. In Forest Shuffle, you'll be creating a forest which is represented by a tableau of trees, plants, insects and animals.
And what you're going to be doing generally is you're going to draft cards and then you're going to play them. But the twist is most of the cards are multi-use and you have to discard cards to play cards. Now, what you're trying to do overall and how you'll win is by creating synergistic combos of cards that synergize together in a way that will end up breaking the game because you get so many points. Before we get deeper into Forest Shuffle, please note that we received this as a review copy from Asmodee Nordics.
Turns in Forest Shuffle are exceedingly simple. You either play a card, paying its cost in cards, or you draw 2 cards. Central to the game is the meadow, and this is where you place the paid cards, so then they become available for any player to take on their draw 2 cards action. You can also draw from the deck using the draw 2 cards action as well. Cards are split into either tree cards or the everything else cards. The everything else cards are multi-use and are split into either left and right halves or top and bottom. The trees provide a base onto which you're going to play these multi-use cards, and you'll pick either the left or right or top or bottom half to play, and then slide the half that you don't want to play underneath the tree, so only displaying the half that you want to play. Thus, you can play up to 4 things per tree card. Practically everything will score you something, but the real trick to Forest Shuffle is building a tableau that is highly synergistic. For example, having European hares in your forest, you score for every European hare that you have. So if you have 10, that's 100 points. And then if you have some foxes in your forest, they score 2 points for every European hare. And on it goes. The game continues until all 3 Winter is Coming cards are drawn, and then the game will end immediately when the final one is drawn. The first one that you draw marks the last third of the deck, but then the remaining 2 are shuffled in. So you might go and continue to play until the entire deck is gone, or until 2/3 of it's gone.
Now, from that description, Forest Shuffle probably doesn't sound that interesting or that unique in the wider space of games, but I'm here to tell you that it is very interesting, and everything it does is honed to perfection, and the decisions are every turn excruciating to make. It's been a real delight to experience and play Forest Shuffle, and just to share something from my own experience, I had a friend stay with us for a few days and showed him a bunch of games, and how much fun you can have with Forest Shuffle is summed up like this. It was his favourite game out of all the ones we played, and he said that no hesitation. And that means it beat out Wingspan, Mansions of Madness, Thunder Road Vendetta, Waterfall Park and Caper Europe. Core to what makes Forest Shuffle so interesting is this meadow. It's not novel to pay cards to play cards, but it is a really nice refreshing twist that they go then into a central marketplace, because there's now a lot of considerations, because you're always wanting to keep the cards in your hand and you have to weigh up what's the risk that I won't be able to get that card back if I want it, or maybe you can game the system so you do get that card back as soon as you play your card that turn. Or there's also another consideration of, if I discard this, does it help any of my opponents in any way? Would it fit straight into their strategy? Am I better playing it myself?
Following on, the meadow is key to the tempo of the game. If there are 10 or more cards on it at the end of a turn, it gets wiped. Therefore, it has a direct impact on the length of the game, because the more players will take cards from the deck, the quicker the game will go. More often than not, players will take cards from the meadow because they can see there's something they want, but then also they can manage the pace of the game. We think it's really smart that purposefully wiping is an important strategy, either because you're in a strong position or because you don't want other players to have those cards.
Another brilliant element of Forest Shuffle is the hand management. It's agonizing consistently throughout the game. And you might think, well, how's agonizing? Just give up cards you don't want to play the cards you do want to play. But the problem is, every card has some sort of draw that is of interest to the players. And often you'll find yourself drawing cards just so you can play a card you already have, and then becoming distracted by the cards you've just drawn, because now you also want to play them, so then you draw more cards, and this repeats. And you obviously, as I said, also have this problem of you don't want to help your opponent by putting it down. And there's a clever way around that too, because you can turn any card into a sapling. And this just means it's a tree, but there's no really scoring conditions, but it allows you just to kind of put any card down without having to pay anything, which is quite good.
A secondary element to that is a colour and symbol system, whereby you might get to have some extra bonuses if you pay for a card using only cards that have the matching colour and symbol. It's another consideration because it's never mandatory, but getting those little bonuses might just make a difference. Forest Shuffle is a simple game, but it's one where every card and system is demanding, vying for your attention, thus providing a lot more options and crunch than other games of its type. What we find particularly fun about Forest Shuffle is that in our games, the person that's won, it's essentially because they found a game-breaking combination, but it's always been a different combination. We really think that says a lot about the quality of the design and the options that are there within the deck. It's really hard to make a game like this where all of the cards are equally interesting, and here they almost manage it.
One thing to note before you do buy it is that there are complaints about issues of balance. Now, it's not particularly something we've come across. I haven't really felt like one strategy is 100% going to beat another strategy each time, but there are a lot of complaints online saying that the deers and wolves strategy, if you kind of just fill out your forest with them, it's unbeatable. And to be honest, for me, some of the scores I've got going with other strategies and the scores I've got when doing that strategy, it doesn't convince me that it's unbeatable. But just be aware, because it has been a common complaint. The one worry I do have that I will share is, I think for some people, the longevity of Forest Shuffle is going to be based on how much they enjoy the mechanistic nature as opposed to seeing the cards in the deck. Because in a game of Forest Shuffle, you're going to see most of the cards in the deck. And so really by your second game, you've more or less seen everything. By your third game, you've probably played everything. So it cuts to this point where you will find yourself, when you get 5 to 10 games in, being a little bored of seeing the same cards perhaps, or find yourself falling back on the same strategies that were tried and tested and you did well with. And then it definitely comes down to how much you enjoy that mechanistic nature. Because for me, I think the game is always crunchy. The decisions are always really tough when you're trying to play cards or spend cards. So that's always there. But if you're just here to kind of see the different cards, then it will get old quick. You get through those 5 to 10 games and you do start thinking, man, I sure could go for an expansion right now. And you would just love to see, you know, some new cards injected in and just expand the options. And it's just that you do want more Forest Shuffle. Final thoughts, Forest Shuffle is terrific. In fact, the only thing I don't like about it is the name. You know, I think it doesn't work. You only shuffle the cards once.
Yeah.
But before you jump down my throat, I know that it's a translation of a German name, and in German it makes some kind of pun, but I think an English name is the worst thing about it.
I would agree.
That or the scoring, probably the scoring, which is a beast, but the game is worth the pain of having to go through all that scoring.
This is one of those games that doesn't do anything new, but it combines and refines existing mechanisms to create something that is utterly engaging. Everything it does right. It's also environmentally friendly and it's fairly cheap. So it is a full recommendation from us.
And please subscribe to see more of the Headless Dog.
What are you doing? If you enjoyed this video, we really appreciate it. If you could give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and please feel free to ask us anything about Forest Shuffle in the comments. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.